But it feels like the camera had ADHD because the motherfucker would not stop moving. This camera was all over the place. Like, sometimes, you know, you just have your establishing shot, you know, cut away sometimes, but it's like the camera was constantly fucking moving to the point where you're gonna start getting dizzy after a while. With the success and positive word of mouth that The Harder They Fall have been getting, it's only right that I talk about another black western that came out in the 90s that's been forgotten about, which deserves a second watch or a first watch if you've never seen it, and I'm talking about Posse. Now, The Harder They Fall is probably one of my favorite movies this year. You know, black western, black excellence, everybody just shined in that movie, man, and I couldn't help but think about Posse as I was watching it. So now, here we go, Posse. I haven't seen this movie in years, y'all. You know what I mean? Like, this came out in '93. I believe I was about 14 when this came out. I was 13 going on 14. And at the time, it was entertaining enough. I really wasn't into westerns at the time. I'm a teenager. I don't care about westerns and shit. But it intrigued me because I've never seen a black western before. I didn't know black cowboys even existed. Now, mind you, if you go back in the 70s, you had movies like Buck and the Preacher, and you had different black westerns in the blaxploitation era, and then of course Blazing Saddles, but I didn't know about black cowboys. I just knew about John Wayne and Clint Eastwood and all the motherfuckers, you know what I mean? My father had me watch like all the spaghetti westerns and stuff. I didn't know black cowboys was a thing. So now Mario Van Peebles educates me and says, hey, there were black cowboys. Matter of fact, back in the day, about 90% of cowboys were black, or some number like that. You know, so he's educating me and entertaining me, which is the goal, what he wanted to do. Same thing with New Jack City. He wanted to entertain, but then educate at the same time about how drugs destroy the community and how we need to do away with drug dealers that do try to destroy the community.
But Black Dynamite, I sell drugs to the community.
Even though some people take New Jack City as glorifying drug deals, but nah. He was trying to send a
message.
All right, so Posse is a story of Jesse Lee, who is in charge of, what's it called, the 10th Cavalry, whatever. It's the Spanish-American War, and the crew that he's in charge of, the black soldiers, they're segregated from the white soldiers, so pretty much the black soldiers are in the forefront, on the front lines, dying in like crazy numbers, all right? While the white soldiers are in the cut, sipping on hooch and smoking cigars and shit, watching the black soldiers get killed. So Jesse Lee is like, look, man, he goes to the colonel played by Billy Zane. He's like, look, man, we need to fall back because we're dying here. There's nothing we can do about it. We need to get up out of here. And the evil colonel's like, all right, man, I'll tell you what. If you kill this motherfucker here, one of these POWs here, if you kill this motherfucker right here, I'll let you go. Jesse Lee doesn't want to do it. He's not a cold-blooded killer, but he shows how good of a shot he is, shoots a cigar out the guy's mouth, out of the prisoner's mouth. So Colonel says, all right, cool, I got something for your ass. I'm going to put this other white prisoner in charge of your crew. How you like them apples? It then sets up a heist where Jesse Lee and the 10th Cavalry, and led by now Lil J, played by Stephen Baldwin, they have to rob this coach full of gold, set up purposely so the colonel can kill them. But something goes wrong. They escape, and now they have a posse. But Jesse Lee, he's a loner. His whole mission is he wants to go back to the town where he grew up at and get revenge on the motherfuckers that killed his daddy. His daddy was a preacher, and his daddy was an activist in the town trying to make change for black people, you know, have black empowerment, and the KKK lynched him. So now he wants to go back to that town and get revenge on these people, but his crew is like, nah, Jesse, we coming with you, man. We a posse. So Jesse really doesn't want to be a part of the posse, but like Thanos said, dread it, run from it, destiny arrives, all the same. And this is where my problems kind of come in with this movie now. Now I'm putting my critic hat on. The problem I had with this movie is that it felt like two different movies at times, where at first it's a heist film where now the colonel is on their trail all the way, like hunting them down because they have a big shootout. They kill most of the colonel's crew. Now the colonel's crew is coming after them for revenge. But then it becomes a revenge tale with Jesse Lee trying to get revenge on the people that killed his pops. You know, and we get introduced to two new villains in the third act of the movie. One of them is the town sheriff played by Blair Underwood, who is like a Western version of Brandon Tatum, a sellout Sambo motherfucker. And then you have the KKK, you know, they're the new villains, but we don't get introduced to them to the third act. So by the time they're introduced, I feel like they're starting a new movie, almost like we need another hour and a half to go into this shit. You know what I mean? So it feels like two different movies at times. But let me tell you, this movie is entertaining enough where even though the story can be a little disjointed at times, Mario Van Peebles has an eye for action. You know what I'm saying? And getting funny performances out of his actors. Like, this movie is also very funny. It's very action-packed. You know what I'm saying? It's entertaining as fuck. All right? But if you're one of those people that really follow story, you're going to be like, yeah, this shit's kind of all over the place. And it is. But it didn't take away from my enjoyment of it. I got to give a shout out to the all-star cast, too, man. This is an ensemble cast. So you got Mario Van Peebles as Jesse Lee. You got Tone Loc as Angel. You got Debo as a Bobo, I think that's how you say his name. Stephen Baldwin as Little J. You got Blair Underwood as the villain. You got Papa Melvin Van Peebles is also in here. And of course, my man Big Daddy Kane as Father Time is the clear standout in this movie, man. Big Daddy Kane, I don't know if he's ever acted before, but I guess Mario just said, yo, man, just be Big Daddy Kane, but in a Western. And he killed it, man. He was smooth as shit, man. He's got that fucking deep-ass voice. And sometimes when he talks, he sounds like he's rapping. Like, you put some rappers in a movie, and they talk like they rap. You know what I'm saying? And the lovely Sally Richardson. I talked about her. The fuck is that on my mouth? I talked about her on my Black Dynamite review that I did with Anthony A. Perez, and man, she is smoking in this movie. When I first saw this, I thought she was like a full Native American because she's got that long Indian hair and shit. And man, she is beautiful, fucking beautiful. And Mario hit that shit. I'm jealous, man. He hit it, and you see it. That's one thing that's missing in movies now, I guess, because of the whole Me Too shit, and you know, we don't see a lot of nudity and a lot of fucking in movies these days. At least not that I can recall. But back then in the 80s and the 90s, oh, they'll show skin like a motherfucker. They'll show skin, they'll show boobies, they'll show everything. You know, full frontals. I ain't mind. So, goddamn, Sally Richardson. Another issue I had with this movie was that sometimes it was a little too fast. Now, I don't mind a fast-paced movie. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's a slow burn, if you can keep my interest, then, you know, I'll keep watching. I won't have to check my phone and play solitaire. But it feels like the camera had ADHD because the motherfucker would not stop moving. This camera was all over the place. Like, sometimes, you know, you just have your establishing shot, you know, cut away sometimes. But it's like the camera was constantly fucking moving to the point where you're going to start getting dizzy after a while. And sometimes the camera moves so much where you almost lose sight of what's going on. You get lost, like, okay, I forgot what's going on here, what's going on with the story here, or what's going on with this character. What the hell just happened? Because how fast everything is moving. Positives, I thought this movie was well acted. I think that Mario was solid as the lead, as Jesse Lee. A man of few words, but a strong screen presence. Was badass. Some badass shootout scenes. Some over-the-top stuff. You know, he's known to do some over-the-top stuff where it's like, all right, come on, that's a little far-fetched right there, man. Come on, dude. Come on. Come on. And Billy Zane as the Colonel was a very effective villain. Now, the Blair Underwood character, he was alright, but like I said, he came too late in the movie where I'm already used to seeing Billy Zane as the villain now, and now you're gonna bring it, like they did some Spider-Man 3 shit where, okay, it's about Sandman as the villain, but then, you know, at the last minute you bring in Venom, and it just didn't work. But not to say he did a bad job. I think he did a good job with what he was given. But I didn't care when he came on the scene. I just want to see what happened with the Billy Zane character. This is a good time. I can't compare it to The Harder They Fall because this is definitely 90s. It's a product of its time. And it feels like a 90s movie. You know what I'm saying? It's aged like a 90s movie. But it's still a decent watch. You know, if you want to check out more black westerns, if you watch The Harder They Fall, then I definitely recommend watching Posse. No, I don't think it's better than The Harder They Fall, but it definitely is another option. You know what I'm saying? After you watch The Harder They Fall. You know, check out Posse. Shout out to Mario Van Peebles, man. Give this man his flowers. He's a legend in the game. Put some respect on his name. You talking about New Jack City, Posse, Panther, which I reviewed also. Come on, man. Right now he's killing it with the Wu-Tang Saga. Put some respect on this man's name. And that's it, and that's all. Posse gets a B- in my book. All right. Heavily flawed movie, but entertaining as fuck. And that's the best way I can summarize it. So, what did y'all think about the movie? Comment freely below. Let me know what you thought. If you like and dig this content, hit that like and subscribe, notification bell in the corner. This is Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video.